Get the beaver fever!
Welcome to the first episode of Pokefacts. This isn't going to be a series where I shove Pokemon related facts in your face. No, far from it. I'm going to explore a topic from Pokemon and maybe tell you something that might surprise you. So without further ado, let's get on with this video. In this episode, I'm going to be delving into fun facts about Pokemon calls. Or cries. Really not too sure what it's called. Cry makes it sound kind of sad. Every time you go into a Pokemon battle, you hear at least 2 cries. And when you think about it, this happens a lot. As everywhere you need to go, there's knee-length grass, dark caves, or an ocean filled with Tentacruel. In fact, you can't go anywhere to escape Pokemon. To a lot of players, I can understand that this gets on their nerves. That's why the stocks of Repel are doing so well. If you're anything like me, you can probably tell a Pokemon just from its call alone. So for all your entrepreneuring trainers, let's have a little fun. Can you guess whose call this belongs to? If you guessed Charizard, you can give yourself a pat on the back, you deserve it. If you guessed Rhyhorn, you were also correct too. And if you guessed both, I would be a little bit worried. Not even I guessed both. And I think I know Pokemon quite well. But yes, Charizard and Rhyhorn actually share the same call. In fact, these 2 Pokemon aren't the only ones to share a call. Both Goldeen and Caterpie share bit for bit the same call, as well as Poliwag and Ditto. And just to prove this right, I'll play these calls side by side. In Generation 1, there are only 37 unique calls, despite the fact that there are 151 Pokemon. But due to the low quality and data that could be placed on one of these old cassette tapes, they had to compensate. I mean, just look at these things. These things are huge. Ever wondered how much it stores? Here's a PlayStation 2 memory card. This is a little bit smaller, and it only holds 8 megabytes. Yeah, 8 megabytes. So we're speculating at around about 1 to 2 megabytes, if that. You could probably fit 4 or 5 normal DS games in one of these cartridges. You know what, let's do this. Get in there! Many Pokemon had sped up versions of the same calls, or even lower pitch calls, such as Charmander and Charmeleon. Wherein a Pokemon has low health and fainted, the Game Boy couldn't actually keep up with the 2 noises playing at once and distorted the Pokemon's call. This also happened if, in the same situation, you checked other Pokemon's data. Luckily this was to be fixed in Generation 2, but without this unintentional mistake, we may not have the sound distortions in later games we have today. Another unique Pokemon is Haunter. Haunter's calls changed from generation to generation. In the first generation, he had a high-pitched beeping in his call. By Generation 2, he had a jingle added to it. And in Generation 3, they took out the high-pitched beeping. And the reason behind all this? It's a mystery. I can only speculate that the creators couldn't decide on a fitting call for him. That, or someone accidentally deleted his sound file, or it got lost somewhere in the development process, leaving them with only one option to change the call. I could start on Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, but I'm wanting to save that for another time, since most Pokemon obtain a new call when transferred to their 64-bit counterpart. On the subject of cries, there's somebody I have to talk about. This one cry that they never fixed, and to this day my ears still bleed every time I hear it, and it belongs to Nicki Minaj herself, Jinx. Not only to me is this an obnoxiously loud cry, but it holds the record for being the longest to date, lasting 2.24 seconds. And for me, that's just 2.24 seconds too long. Listening to that noise every time this Pokemon's sent out can drive you insane. When Nintendo released Red and Green in Japan, the sprites were pretty messed up. Although most of them were fixed and they imported Blue and Red we got, Jinx... No. No! How? How is this possible? How could you screw up it twice? Look at it! What's that pose? To be honest, it's vile, ugly, I hate the cry, I just hate this Pokemon. Take a lesson from Pidgey. This bird holds the record for the shortest, at a mere 0.18 seconds long. Once Generation 3 was introduced and they had moved to new hardware, the Game Boy Advance, Nintendo had a whole host of sounds to choose from when it came to creating Pokemon Cries. And with Pokemon X and Y just round the corner, I'm sure we can look forward to some kick-ass Pokemon calls. Just, please, no more of Jinx. I honestly can't stand it. Ah, my ears are bleeding! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, leave a like. If you have any Pokemon calls that really get on your nerves, leave that disgrace of a Pokemon in the comment section below.